This is the Iron Trader, and this is the weekend edition. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to go over trading. Okay, so first of all, we're going to take a look at scalping and how to scalp and what to look for. And then we're going to go over swing trades. And then we're going to go over long-term trades. Okay, so today is going to be all about the trading. This video is for information purposes only, not a recommendation to buy, sell any stock, commodity, ETF. Please like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. All right, first on the docket here is scalping. Now, basically, scalping is day trading, okay, where you try to buy as low as you can, sell as high as you can, and put that money into your pocket, okay? Swing trades, well, you can go swing trades a day, 2 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then longer term trades are like, say you want to go 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, 2 months, 6 months out, however you want to do it for the longer trade. Now, for me, I basically do all three. Okay, so let's just take a look here at the crude oil. Okay, so what we have here is now, when I see this double bottom in action, okay, what we have here, 70.50, and then we have 70.47. So you have a higher low, okay, and you put a bottoming tail in there. Okay, so what I do is I take a long position all the way on. And then what I do is just keep riding it out until we can go like into the a summer driving season. Okay, so I'm actually long, but I also take a swing trade for a week or two, but then I scalp this long and short also every day. So let's go over to scalping action. So when we look at this candle here that we had on Friday, you had a high of 78.26 and a low of 76.06. So what I was always watching is the top of this candle, which is basically 76.18, and the top of this candle here, which is basically 75.76. So this is what I was watching here for your support levels. Now it came all the way down to 76.06, a little bit below that, but you notice that it put it in a hammer right away. So that tells me that I got to scalp this. And then what I was always watching is this 200 SMA here. Now, is it going to be able to get through that 77.67, or is that going to stop it like it did right here? Okay, so this was also a very nice scalp. But again, usually this 200-day is like like when you're a kid, you want to tip over a Coke machine. Okay, well, you got to rock it back and forth to tip it over. You're not going to get it the first time. And that's usually how these 200 SMAs work, where like right here, okay, so you went right up into it, pulled right on back, right up into it, and then you pulled right on back. Okay, so that's what you always got to watch on the 200-day. Very, very crucial. Now, once it got above that, that was a nice scalp all the way on here. And then I close out my position on the scalp trade for the day, and I take the money and I put it in the pocket. Now, I'm still long all the way from this candle right here, so I can go right on up. The reason I get long on that candle there, but basically for two reasons. One, you have this divergence here, okay, where you had a low, you had a really low, a real low up here and a higher low. And that tells me that now the trend is changing and it wants to go up. So what I always look for, like here, is these double bottoms. So like an example on this, you had 70.13, and then what we had here is you had 70.06. So that told me that was a higher low. So I run this swing trade all the way into this candle, but then I noticed that, okay, you're starting with a topping tail, and you can't hold that 50. So that tells me to take that swing trade off. But that was a good, nice trade for those amount of days. So then you just be waited patiently, and you look to the left of the chart to see what else you can always come up, because every day there's always something. That's why I like crude oil, I like natural gas, because every day there's something. You don't have to wait for earnings, you have to do this. Every day is always in play. So I always watch for this, and that told me I can take a swing trade here, and then once this 8 SMA here crossed above your 21-day and your 50-day, that tells me I have to get long. So I have still a long position on. I closed out my scalp trade, because that's what you do. You just scalp it, both ways. Now, this here was also a very nice trade, because what you did is you buy that once you make a higher high, okay, and you got above that 76.18, but you know it's going to stop into that 200. Okay, very, very crucial. So you knew that was going to do. So that's where you take the trade off. Okay, so right now we got to see how this is all going to play out here. But I say my long position is still intact, but I'm going to see if this is going to pull back to this 8 SMA, or is it going to rally right on up here to your 100 SMA? So that's how you always want to look, is you want to have it off of a base, okay, so you can get that swing trade. So on every day, you can see once you have, your trade like this, where it came on down and then it rallied up very, very nicely. But you got to make sure that you're never going to buy the bottom, but you want to try to get as close as you can. And then you're never going to sell the top, but you want to also get as close as you can. But again, when you come to that position, scalp trades are meant to be, day trades. You just put them on at the bottom, sell them at the top, put the money in your pocket. So let's look at a tick chart on crude. All right, here we have the tick chart here on crude. Okay, so this is a very, very good tell where you had that 78.26. It came down, sold all the way on down. Here, this is the action. Came down, sold down to 77.93. Now, when you see something like this, okay, we have a red candle, you say, oh, I'm not going to touch it there. But then we had this candle here. See this? This is basically a red dot where it comes down lower than your low, but then it finishes green. Okay, now a tick chart moves pretty fast, so you got to be very, very careful. Now, but that's a good opportunity here to buy. Then what you have is you got sideways action of three candles, but you notice that it popped up. Now all these candles are above your 8 and your 21 SMA. So what you want to do is look to the left of the chart here. So you want to look at the top of these candles here. Now, can it break above? So you just say, okay, it broke above. So then you go take it up to the next level. Okay, so when you get to this area here, you say, okay, green candle. Now it could have ripped up, but no, it didn't. It went sideways. And then when the candle turns red, that's when you got to get out of your scalp. And then you just keep waiting very, very patiently. So when you come down, you had 3 red candles down, then you had a green and another green. And then once this green candle went above the previous one, that's the time that you got to get back in. But you went right into that 8 SMA. So it's a little tricky. But once you got above the 8 SMA here and broke above this key channel, well, then she followed 8 all the way on up here. And that was just a beautiful scalping opportunity all the way on up. See how that works? Now, I'll give you another example here on the natural gas here, exactly when's a good time to buy a scalp. Okay, this is like an absolute perfect example here of scalping, okay, and exactly how to do it. Now, you could also do this with a swing trade. You could do this with a scalp trade very, very easily. Now, we have an hourly and we have a 4-hour chart. So when you see this 3.39, you see come right on up here, okay? And then what it does, it comes and makes a higher, lower high, okay, at 3.37. That tells me, and then we had an indecision candle, that tells me that you got to get short. Now, if you don't like trading short, that's fine. What you do is you just sell your long position into that. That's what you wanted to do, sell your long position. Then what you do is I shorted it all the way on down because it could not get through and hold these key SMAs. But then when it comes all the way down and it gaps down, that tells me I got to get out. Okay, very big. So now we have, what do we have? We have a low here of 2.31. But then we have this candle at 2.32. So you have a higher low. So you never want to buy a scalp here. Okay, you always want to buy it after you get a retest. So this ran up, you say, oh man, I missed it. No, you didn't miss anything. You wait for that retest, okay, all the way down. And then you catch that run up. That's the key. Now you can see it here on an hourly chart. Very, very simple. So you got your 2.31 where it came, ran all the way up here, and then it put in a higher low. When you always see that pattern of that higher low, that's a time, soon as that candle turns green, that's where you want to run it up. Now, what I always do is like when you see 2.31, well, I put a stop in here at like say 2.28. Okay, so I give it a little bit, and then say if you're going to lose it, well, you just lose a little bit there, and you get stopped on out. But always want to use your stops, but never put it underneath what this is because you don't know where this is going to go. But if it can hold that, then, especially with a higher low, then you know she's going to run up. If not, you just get stopped out and you move on to the next trade. Very, very simple, okay? And then look at the nice run up. So then when you see a candle like here, okay, so you went right in here and you retested it. And all of a sudden, the next candle broke up. That tells you can also add to your position. Then we had nice sideways action, and then you can go up. So don't be afraid to say, okay, I can go up to this point here, and then I'm going to let my trade run, or you can also add to your position and then see how high it's going to run. Okay, let's take a look at a little different kind of a chart. All right, here's a very, very clear example of scalping. Okay, so your price is here, it comes right on down. What you don't want to do, even though you had like a little red dog here, you always want to see if you can find that retest. So it went rallied all the way on up, and they say, oh, geez, I missed it. No, it comes all the way down, and then you put in a higher low. So this is where, not this candle here, but as soon as it turns green and makes a higher low, this is the candle where you want to buy it. But you put your stop underneath this candle here, okay? So you're going to lose a little bit there, okay, if it's sold out. But most of the time, what it does is when you get that higher low, it rallies up. So what you want to do then is look to where you had that high. There's your medium line. Now, again, like this candle broke up, here, you let your trade run, or once it closes above that, like you get this candle, then you can even add to your position and then take the whole thing off right there, okay? So you never want to buy here. You always want to buy here, even though it's a little bit higher, then you know you're going to run right on up here, and you only, probably over 90%, you don't even have to worry about your stop, because this here will run much higher. All right, let's take a look at the next chart. Okay, here we have natural gas, okay, your daily and a weekly chart. So when you look at this, you can see where it came sold all the way off, rallied all the way up. This was that double top that I was talking about right here, okay? So when you get a top like this, 3.3, and you get that lower low, that tells you that you got to sell. Now, again, this is actually a very good scalp, because what you did is you can just run it down there per day. Okay, so that's exactly what I did. I didn't run it to take a scalp here and then run it all the way down. I just scalped this red candle all the way down and then took the trade off. Now, the next day we had an indecision candle, but if you look here, that's that tweezer top situation like we have here. And usually when you get that, it sells off. So once that couldn't get through the previous day's candle, that told me I got to take a scalp short. Okay, it doesn't matter if you scalp long or short. So then I just come all the way down until I hit this key 200 SMA here. Okay, and then I took the trade off. Then we see what happens the next day. Okay, so because you don't know what happened, it could have held that support and rallied right on up. So I just take that scalp right on off. Now, what do we have on this candle? Now you broke below that 200. So once you break below that 200, you know it's going to go lower. Okay, so this was a really good scalp here. Again, all the way here, and then you take it off, and then you see what happens right here. But you've got the majority, okay, of the downside action, and that's exactly, what you are looking for. So when we get to the bottom here, okay, so we put in a bottom of 3.31. But if you notice the next day's candle, you had a higher low. So that tells me I can take a scalp long, okay, and it closed back above. Now, I'm not holding that position here, especially like in natural gas. You just do like a daily, you scalp it to there. Now, the next day it opened up. Well, you can take a nice green scalp. And then this here, well, that's where that contract roll came in here. This was just absolutely went wild. Now, on Friday was a great scalping day, because what it is, when it ran up all the way down here, I could trade that cold all the way down. But you notice that it came all the way down, and then you held this key support levels here, okay? So this was a trading channel for how many days. Well, you've held that support. That's where it comes. It doesn't have to come all the way down here. So you held that key support level, okay? So then what you did is then you could take a scalp long, okay? Once it held that and the candle started moving up, then you can scalp it long. Now, I am totally out of the trade. I don't have any natural gas, long, short, nothing right here. But that was a really good scalp then, right back on the way up again here. So you can trade, scalp it both ways, but always want to look for patterns like 2.31. Well, you look at the candle, you had 2.29. See how that came across? That was your support level. Now, again, if that's lost, then we can just follow the other levels down. But once that holds, that tells you that you have a really good scalp, especially the next day, where you put in a higher low and you put in a higher high, and just run it to whatever you have to do. All right, now let's take a look at some swing trades. Okay, swing trades. We have the basic crude oil. Everybody likes the old crude ski, okay? So what we basically have here is the swing trade is you can go from a day, 5 days, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever you want to do. Longer term trades are, like a month or so out here. And I'm going to show you those after we do the swing trades. Now, when we look at the old crude oil here, again, it's the same thing. So you look at for those double bottoms, okay? So it's basically like the scalping, except you're just holding the trade longer. So you look at that double bottom, and then you can swing trade that. You say, hey, well, I can't sit by my computers all day. I have to do this, I have to do that, kind of a situation, okay? So, well, again, you can swing trade this and say, hey, okay, I can go to work, I can come back, I can check it out or whatever. But when you see a double bottom action, okay, just like you had here, then you know that what you're going to do is going to go higher situation. So you have to look at everything. You have to look at your MACD. See how that? Okay, that's your momentum. Your green is above the red. That's your momentum. You look at your RSI. See how nice that's the momentum. So you know that trade is going to go basically higher. And once that 8-day crosses, then you know you can go very, very high. So you can buy this candle here and then ride this all the way on up here until you get, like, say, onto this candle here, right into that 200-day. And then you could have taken it right off. So you could have you bought it there, 1, okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 good days of trading. So you could have went out there, did your job, do whatever you got to do, okay, come back and say, ready to put a sell point right when you get that 200. You didn't have to worry about Friday's candle. You already made your 7 days worth of cash right there, okay? So now we got to see here, instead of carrying into the weekend, we don't know what's going to happen. Now, in Yemen, they did, they blew up the Houthis blew up a tanker cargo, and it was on fire. So, oil could just rocket right on up here on thing. But I have a long position, so it doesn't really matter to a guy like me. Then I'll just see what I can do for with the scalp situation. But that's a good way to do a swing trade. So let's look at a few more here. All right, here we have Microsoft, daily, weekly. What I want to do is I want to show you here on the weekly. All right, we come all the way down, red candle here at 2.134, okay? Boom. You don't buy it there, okay? Now, you could have bought this candle here, but I didn't. I waited here until you had this topping tail. Then she came right on down, and what did it hold? That key 200 SMA. So you have a low, we have a higher low, okay? And that's where basically the next day when that candle turned green, as long as that 200-day holds, that's where you can take the swing trade. So what I did is I take this trade here and I take it right into that 100-day. Then I sell it. Now, it could have went right up higher. What's the difference? Look how many days I got there. Look how many weeks I got there worth of nice trades. All the way on up, and then you take it off, okay? So then the following week, red candle, all the way down. And then you had this big green candle, which was a nice tell because it closed above that 100 SMA. See that? See how it closed right above that 100 SMA? Now you can say, okay, I can rebuy this. And then you just take it right on up here. And this here was a topping tail. Okay, so that's where you know when you get a breakout, like on this candle here. Okay, so you have the price channel come across. You have a breakout, but it can't hold that breakout. That tells you have to sell into that. And don't worry about it. So if it ran higher, so what? You look how many days that you've got, of trading action. Then what I did is I just waited. Now, it held this key 21 days, so it was looking pretty good. But what I didn't like is this red candle. Then it sold right on down and held right here. And then you put in a green candle, okay? So once you put in that red and you put the green, and when it made a higher high, that's the time you got to get right back in. And then you just run this thing right up because this is the breakout, and you notice that it closed, okay, above that breakout. So that tells you that you're going to get. Now you're in nosebleed territory here at this RSI here. So it's going to be a matter of time before she's going to come down. But look how many good days that you can do of scalping. So when you watch this here, always watch that 200-day for the retest. And then any kind of resistance like the 100-day, you run it right into it and then you dump it. If it runs higher, so what? There's always another trade come around. It came down, but you notice that it held that key 21 SMA here. But the key for me was that green candle for the week. And it made a higher high. That's the time to say, I got to get back into this. And then when you made a topping tail, well, that tells me I got to dump this. And then when it comes down and puts in another higher green candle, then that tells me that you got to run it all up. All right, let's take a look at another one here. Okay, here we have Apple stock. Very, very nice. Now, the swing trade, bottom line, this was actually a very good long-term trade here. Okay, that was a nice long-term trade, but it was also a really nice swing trade because what we had is you had a green candle here. It ran up here, but it came down, it had that red. But you notice the next day it put in that green candle again. And then it bounced up right into this 200-day. So I went from here to there and I sold it. Okay, because it's right into resistance. Came down, but the next day it went a higher high and you're up over there. I got to get back in. So then you just ride it up. Now, as long as that price was holding that 8 SMA here, okay, then I'm back in. So that was a really nice swing trade here again. Then what we do is when I can see you have a topping tail, then we had some sideways action and it came all the way down here, but you notice that it held that 21-day. So I didn't buy it there. I waited the next day, had a green candle, well, right back in again. Okay, so that's where you want to be. Now, what I do is I buy Apple usually a couple weeks ahead of earnings. Earnings will be out here very, very shortly. So look at what we had here. Okay, you had a big sell-off, came down, and what did it came down to? 180.17, but look at it held that 200 SMA. So it rallied up here. I didn't buy this because this was looking, it couldn't kind of get past this 8 SMA. Then it sold right off here, came down, and then you put a double bottom in. See how nice that double bottom is? But you're back above the 200 SMA. So that told me I got to get long, and then boom, right into here, you get a red candle, boom, I'm out. Okay, just like that. Okay, so there's a lot of good trading action here, but don't be afraid to sell into a lot of things. If you miss a little bit, so what? There's always another trade. That's the beauty of it there. Okay, so what I did is you just sell right up. But when you see these patterns where you have a low and a higher low, but that key 200 SMA, that tells you got to get long for a nice swing action. And look how many nice good days it rallied right up and boom, done. All right, let's take a look at another one here. All right, this is XLE. I always put this up on the board here. This is the big oil ETF. Okay, and this does pay a dividend. It paid like 3.6% dividend. So if you're holding it, you're still going to make money. So look where we came down to, 76.25. All right, rallied right on up here. Very, very nice. And then you double topped. Okay, so you could take, once you see this green candle, you hold that green candle until you see that red candle and then you dump it. Well, you double topped and then she sold right down. But when you look at this candle here, you got a low of 76.72. Look at that nice double bottom action. Tells me you got to get right into it. Again, for the swing trade all the way to your 100-day. So it went into the 100-day, you dump it. Came all the way down here, put a red candle, but you know that series of higher lows again. And then the following day, you put in a green candle, okay? And then you can rally up here by that swing trade for a couple of, say, 1, 2, 3, 4 days into the 200, okay? And then you dump it again. Then it comes all the way down, okay? But you held the key 21 SMA. Candles turn green, then you can ride it all the way on up here, okay? Very, very, now this is a very, very choppy situation. But then when you see a pattern like this, where you have a high, a lower high, and a lower high, that tells you got to get short, okay? Now, I didn't get short here. What I do is just play just the action on it, on the upside, on this particular ETF, okay? So now what we have here in action is we put in a red candle here, but look at the green, nice candle. And then you're right above that key 8 SMA. Now, once it got, I didn't buy this candle here, but I bought it because it held that key 8 SMA here. And then I rode it in here for 3 days, right into this 200 SMA here. And now I'm out of the trade. Okay, let's take a look here at another one. Okay, here's another one of those Mag 7s. Oh, Google. Okay, so they have a lot of good stuff going on here. They got the YouTube, they got the AI, they got the whole nine. Okay, let's look at the weekly chart. You came right on down here. Very nice to 83.34. Okay, did I buy it there? Absolutely not. It rallied right on up here, but you notice it couldn't get through this 200-day, this 21-day. So when you look at this 21-day, you can see how it fall all the way down. Now, it put in a low here again, but I waited for the green candle. So I bought the green candle. Okay, it went up into the 8 SMA. I didn't take the trade off here because the candle was very at the top. It didn't have no topping tail at all. And then look at the nice rally here, but I could see it getting close to that 50-day. Well, that's time to take it off. Okay, then I just waited here again. And when you see a candle like this, okay, so this here was going sideways, red, green, red. But then when you see a big ass candle like this coming over the top of that one, that tells you you got to get long. And then we had some sideways action here, but it was looking very, very strong because we're holding this key level. And then when you had this green candle here, that told me you just got to keep riding this all the way on up here. And then I sold it here. Not at this candle here. That was a top, but it was a green candle, but that was a topping tail. But as soon as that candle turned red, then I was gone. However, then when you have a green candle right next to it, that tells you that you got to get long again here. And now the next day you had right above the 21-day, boom. And look at how she's running up really, really nicely. Now, again, their earnings are coming out here. So I really don't want to trade a whole lot into earnings here. I'll take like the TQQQ. That is going to be a lot better trade here than a lot of these regular stocks because you don't know what the situation is going to be. I think you're going to have good earnings, but everything is, you can see here where these RSI here are always very toppy. So you always want to look at your RSI, your MACD, your volume. That's all really good stuff. So now let's take a look at here at some long-term trades. All right, here's the old Apple again. Okay, so we had some good choppy action here. You put in a red candle. Okay, it came down to 124.70. Weren't even close to that 200 SMA. But if you're going to say I'm going to trade this long, you don't want to buy that red candle. You always want to have where you okay, see the green candle here? It's a higher high. That's what you want to buy. Okay, so basically, if you want to say I'm going to take a longer term trade, this was the opportunity to buy it right there. And then you could just don't worry about all these SMA here. You say, oh, this is Apple. I'm going to take this long. And as long as you're holding that key 8 SMA, you're not losing it like you did here where you have all that choppy action. You know she's going to rise higher. Okay, so when you follow that 8 SMA here, you just run that bad boy all the way up as high and far as you can. Okay, so that's how you trade more of a longer term trade versus a scalp trade where you're in and out, a swing trade, for a short period of time. But this is what you want to look for is key right here. See, as long as that price stays above that 8 SMA, that's where you want to stay long. All right, let's take a look at another. All right, here we have NVIDIA. Okay, so this is like one of the Mag 7s. This is like everyone's favorite. Now, here what we have, you had 108.13 all the way down. Now, it went right on up here. You don't buy that there. You wait for the retest, and if it holds that key 200 SMA, which it did, okay? Very, very smart, okay? Then what you do is you don't buy the red candle. You wait till it turns green. It turns green, that's when you buy, and then look at this 8 SMA. See how it's holding all the way on up. Now, you could have cut some of it loose here, but it just, when it came down, it just didn't look like it was going to come down very, very hard. Okay, so basically you just watch that 8 SMA here, but look at the trade. But even if you just say I'm going to sell in here, look at how many weeks, okay, off of that 200-day that you would have had of just solid profit. Okay, so that's what you'd want to do. Look here, like on a longer term kind of a trade. All right, here we have Amazon. Now, if you look at a daily here, you got as low as 101.15. Just beautiful, okay? And then look at that, how it held that 8 SMA all the way and up. Now, even when this sold off, you still held that 50 SMA. So as long as you're holding these key SMAs here, you can ride that very long. Now, again, I didn't own this here, but if you did, as long as that's 50 days holding, okay, and then you can see where you're rocketing up here on the top, okay, that's the time you could have sold it off. But look how many days you could have had of just solid trade. All right, same way here. This is the weekly. You came down, you had a nice green candle, and you hold that all the way on up. Now, again, you could have sold it here very, very easily here, okay? But look how many weeks you had of solid profit. So as long as it holds these key SMAs here on a closing basis, even when it's sold, it held that 100-day on a closing basis. Yeah, you came down, but you've been holding the key SMA. And then she just rallied right on up. So these are how you do the longer term trades. But always look for a kind of a double bottom situation. And long as it holds the SMAs here, that's when you want to go and stay long. Okay, now, say you're in the shorting business, okay? And you say, hey, I don't care about longs, I'm going to go shorty. Well, here you got a Tesla, you got the great combination of both of them. Okay, so when you see this low here and then you watch this 8 SMA. Now, look how many days that you just kept on rising, rising. And even when it lost the 8-day, it held the 21-day. Okay, rising, rising all the way on up here. Then you got into nosebleed section. Now, this was a time that you want to sell it for a simple reason is this. Look at this. You got a high. You have an extreme high. You have a higher high. You have a divergence. See that negative divergence? That tells you right away that even though the stock is running higher, it's not going to last. That was key. You also had it here on the momentum on the MACD because you had a high, and then look what we had there. Okay, so always watch these divergences. So even though this is running, it's not going to run for that much longer. That is the key. Now, you say, hey, okay, I want to be on the short side of this, which is very good. Now, as long as when this cracked over and it went below that 8 SMA, look what happened. See, you're fighting that 8 SMA all the way and then all the way on down. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you're long or you're short or whatever. You follow these key SMAs here. When that price is above, okay, you're bullish. You can go long. When that price goes below, you want to go short or be out of the trade, one or the other. Okay, so remember, scalp trading, day trading, you want to go, every day, long, short, put the money in your pocket. Swing trades, you can go from a day to 2-3 weeks. And then don't be afraid to sell into those key resistant levels. Then long trade, same thing. You want to go long as you can, but always remember the price needs to stay above that 8 SMA. As soon as you start losing that 8 SMA here, then you start to running into problems. And then watch that RSI for any kind of divergence. Watch the MACD for any kind of divergence. That gives you the first tell. Remember, charts are just a roadmap that says even though this is rallying higher, it's going to matter time before she's going to sell right off. All right, that's what I got for you on the weekend edition on the scalping, the swing trades, and the long trades. Thanks for watching.